matter of time.
Lester Stahl is here in Studio 57 with us from Washington, Illinois. Congressman Adam Kinzinger. He is a pilot in the Air Force Reserves. Good morning, all. Leslie, there is a hearing this afternoon after the 60 Minutes report on Sunday. What do you expect from that hearing?
Well, it's a Senate Armed Services Committee, and we're told the Air Force will be asked what's taking so long to find out what's really wrong. And I suppose they may be pushed into the same question we were asking. Do you need to ground the plane again in order to find out what's wrong?
And what do they say so far? They do not believe it's necessary to ground it.
Yeah, they say that they have minimized the risk enough that they're comfortable keeping the plane in the air.
Congressman, what do you think?
Well, look, I think this aircraft is so important to our inventory and so important to our national defense strategy that it's important that we find out what is going on. Because if you have pilots that are taking off and they're worried about the fact that they may go hypoxic, as somebody who's been hypoxic in training on purpose, I can tell you it's not fun. And in many cases, it's hard to think through various simple tasks. So we've got to be very careful. So I want to make sure that we get to the bottom of this. But also importantly is to make sure that pilots who have felt it's important to stand up and get this message out don't have their wings taken away because they feel that this is outside of the comfort level of where they should be flying.
And the pilots who spoke out with Leslie first came to you, Congressman. You in turn wrote that letter to the Air Force. Have you been able to make any more headway with them?
You know, no, unfortunately, we've requested a number of items from the Air Force. We had pushback where in some cases they claimed executive privilege, in some cases they claimed they just didn't have access to various studies. We're getting ready to make the request again and a few more items, and we expect either they'll comply or they won't comply, but we want to see it in writing so we can figure out what to do next.
Let me see if I understand this. The problem is that the planes are continuing to fly and they do not know what the causes that make the pilots sick. And the question is, why not ground the planes until they find out the cause?
That's it in a nutshell. But I went to a briefing that the Air Force put on last week. I have no doubt that they are doing everything to figure it out. It's baffling that it's taken a year and a half.
What do they suspect?
Well, they're now, after looking at the oxygen tubes and all that kind of stuff, that maybe when you fly that high, that fast, supersonic, there's some physiological change that takes place that interacts with the system of delivering the oxygen. They're going to look at each pilot, see what his particular health condition was when he got in the plane, to see if there's some little pinpoint thing they can do between the pilot and the system, but they don't know.
The other question, are there more pilots who believe exactly what the two who came forward said?
Oh, yeah. They're just not, as the pilots tell us, it's a silent majority.
Congressman, why shouldn't they shut down the planes until they know the answer?
Well, that's a decision I think the Air Force has to make. They did remove the charcoal filter, which they put in as a mitigating factor to unground the aircraft when they were grounded in the past. That's a decision they have to make. Where my concern is that they get to the bottom of this. As Leslie said, I don't think there's a conspiracy here to hide anything. But where I'm concerned is, as pilots, as a pilot, I've been trained that if something is outside of your safety level or your comfort zone, that you have a responsibility to say that, and you have a responsibility not to fly. So I want to make sure that these pilots that have come forward and said there's a problem don't have their wings taken away and there's no administrative action taken against them for doing what it's their responsibility to do in the first place.
You know, Congressman, one of the things the Air Force did to get the plane back in the air after they grounded it over this was put in the charcoal filter. It was one of the reasons they said they were going to be able to fly again. Now they've taken that charcoal filter out because there's suspicion that was hurting the pilots. So now they're flying without any additional protection right now. And so
that's baffling.
It's baffling. And the pilots don't know themselves, Congressman, whether they're going to be punished. You said that they're protected under the Whistleblowers Act, but they're in kind of limbo right now.
Well, yeah, they're protected as far as coming forward and telling their story, but as far as if their squadron or the Guard or the Air Force is going to take action against them for not flying, that's a separate issue. And again, I really hope that the Air National Guard and the Air Force says it's their right that if it's out of their comfort zone, they don't have to fly.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger and Leslie Stahl, thank you both this morning.